Hi, welcome back to the channel. We got 12 and a half, so let's see what kind of things we can come up with to talk about.
You're going in! 3, 2, 1, go!
Did the 12 and a half, didn't talk to you at all because you might even be able to hear it right now. Hopefully you can actually hear me. It's windy and I was just focusing on getting it done. Had to do it by myself, and I hate doing long runs by myself, but fortunately I banked several good podcasts. I listened to Rise and Run and I listened to a couple of Rope Dog Radio and got me through. I can definitely tell I'm starting to get a little bit of overuse injury pain that's starting to want to creep in. So thankfully I'm doing, for my long runs, I'm following kind of what the half marathon training plans and challenge training plans do, where you do a long and then a short, a long and a short. So next week will be a short long run week to give my body a bit of a break. But earlier this week, Monday, normally I do my hard workouts on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and Monday, Wednesday, Friday are easy runs, but I switched it up because we came down to the lake house, so I knew I'd be traveling on Thursday, wouldn't be able to do a workout. So Monday I did a hill workout on my street and woke up Tuesday morning and could tell that I pulled my hamstring, my left hamstring. It's the same leg. I always get a little, if I don't stretch properly and then have to run on hills, I get a little ball of inflammation back there. So that same hamstring, I guess I didn't stretch good enough. I don't remember if I stretched at all before I did the hills. So I didn't run at all on Tuesday. Wednesday I did some faster intervals on the treadmill, keeping it flat. Well, the treadmill is on like a 1% incline, but that's nothing, so mostly flat. And that felt okay. I could kind of feel my hamstring, but I've been icing and stretching. Didn't run Thursday. Did a couple of miles here at our lake house street with Sadie yesterday, which felt good. I don't think I felt my hamstring at all. So today, 12 and a half miles. I could tell that both my knees felt like they were starting to get a little poofy. Could feel my hamstring a little bit, but what I'm a little concerned about is that my right hip, like I'm getting a little IT band right there at the hip. And that's just probably from, I haven't ran this far in a while, I guess since really January, so man, it is really windy. Okay, we're gonna continue this back at the house where it's not so windy. You were all up at my girl a second ago. She tries to see how close she can sit to me. You can't see it because of the face tracking, but she is like, oh, there she is. Hi. So I'm all oh, she wants to look right at the camera now. Oh, hey. So I'm all showered up now, and there was a little farmer's market thing right near our lake house, and we got there right as everyone was starting to clean up, so that was fun. But now I'm trying to stay awake. I snoozed a little bit for like 10 minutes after I ate lunch. Oh, pretty butterfly. Distracted. And I'm sorry if our wind chimes are loud. Like I said, it's a little blustery today. Okay, Sadie, you're gonna have to sit up. Okay. But I wanted to share our chapter for this week, which is chapter 8 in the book, Stumbling Blocks or Stepping Stones. He talks about hiking, which I absolutely loved. But before I share his hiking story, he shares a verse at the beginning. You intended to harm me, but God intended it all for good. From Genesis chapter 50, verse 20, which, if you know, you may or may not know, that is from the story of Joseph, which we'll talk about in a minute. So he shares about how he was trying out hiking, and he had a friend that was taking him on some trails. He went out to Colorado and tried out some trails there, and I related to the story that he told because of what happened when we went to Colorado and I wasn't able to complete the hike that we had planned. So he was out on a trail and had read about the trail previous to going out there, and it said it was hard, but he was assuming that they were over exaggerating a little bit for like it was hard for kids or hard for people that hadn't done what he did, which was go to an REI and get all the supplies that you need to go on a hike. And he found out very quickly that elevation's a thing and that it can be steep in places and all of that, and that the real moment of truth for him was when he got passed by an old lady and her little toy dog on the trail. But what he also talks about is that there was lots of roots, and sometimes those roots would trip him up, but sometimes he was able to use them to help further his further his pace, make him go faster, get up that steep part quicker if he stepped on the root properly or used it as a handhold, whatever. So talking about how we can use events, that we can either use events for bad or use them for good. So that's where the story of Joseph comes in. Joseph in the amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. His brothers were jealous of him. He was the youngest. He was the father's favorite. He was having dreams and visions, and he got the coat from his mom and dad and everything. Brothers were going to kill him, but then decided, hey, let's make some money, sold him into slavery, and all these events happened during his captivity, his time as a slave, good and bad. But he eventually became, after a whole bunch of good and bad, became Pharaoh's second in command, and comes back into, meets back up again with his brothers when his brothers come for food during the famine that Joseph is overseeing, the distribution of food. And once the brothers figure out, who he is, that's where that verse from earlier comes in. You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good. So what he says in here is, Joseph was miraculously able to extend grace to the very people who tried to ruin his life. His brothers had given him the names unwanted, slave, abandoned, prisoner. But when we gain the power of perspective, our enemies immediately lose the power to control our identities. I'm going to read that again. But when we gain the power of perspective, our enemies immediately lose the power to control our identities. Joseph understood that even those who hurt him were just characters in God's bigger plan for his story. They weren't stumbling blocks, they were stepping stones, a stairway that led him to where God wanted him to be. So the key word in that is perspective. I just shared a message similar to that with our cross country teams a week or two ago, where it's all how you view things, and in Romans it says that God intends, can all things work for the good of those who love God. That verse. You have to believe that he can use even the not so fun events for good. And that's hard. I'm the worst at it. I am the person who worries and is anxious and, always sees the worst outcome in a particular situation. So this is a continually learning thing for me. But if we let him and we trust him in what he says, he can use all things for good. It may not be immediate good. It might be far down the line good. But, he tells us, and we can believe him when he says it, that he can use things for good if we let him. So, that's this week. Kind of what'll probably end up being a shorter video. Glad that 12 and a half miles is over, and I'm going to definitely do a lot of recouping. take care of these legs and make sure I don't let my right hip get the best of me. I need to ice it. But you know, we're at the lake house. I need to keep some ice packs here for when I'm running here. So next week is very exciting because I'm actually traveling again, but it involves a plane. So it's a good thing that it's a shorter run next week because I will be out of town once again. But I'll bring you along on my travels. It'll be fun, little escape to the other side of the country. You'll see where we're going next week. So be sure to give this video a like, comment how the weather's been where you are. It actually warmed up a little bit more than usual today here. I think the high today was 77, but it's been 60s, low 70s. It's been absolutely beautiful. So I'm hoping that the good weather will stay for my next half marathon race. I hope the weather will just be perfect that day. Be sure to subscribe. Like I said, I'm traveling again next week and got some other interesting plans coming up. Don't forget that if you'd like to sponsor a mile and sponsor a song for St. Jude, you can visit the link below. Donate $10. You can pick what mile if you'd like, and you can pick a song for me to sing for my YouTube video. It can be anything in English, and as long as it's not vulgar. And remember that we'll be in Christmas time. You can do a Christmas song, you can do a Disney song, you can do a regular song, you can do a silly song. As long as it's in English and not vulgar, you're good to go. So $10 gets you a song for a mile that you can choose, or I can choose it for you. Always remember that you are God's masterpiece, and I'll see you next week.